Hey, everybody. Okay, so we're talking about probiotics. This is the final 15 minute of the hour, altogether hour nutrition class. So we were just talking about the three main probiotic types, and one thing I did not put on here was about spore biotics. And now spore biotics are the latest thing. I use it a lot with my clients. Spore biotics are nice because they do not need to be refrigerated, and they are very hardy in the gut. So once you have zeroed in on a few brands that contain all of the above, be sure to note that the best probiotic supplement companies list on the bottle the genus. The genus would be like Lactobacillus, Bifidus, the species, which would be Acidophilus, and then the strain of each beneficial microbe included in the probiotic. According to Dr. Natasha Campbell-McBride, MD, the best probiotic supplements do not need to be refrigerated and can be stored at room temperature. This means that the bacterial strains are hardy, the product is high quality and can withstand the warmth and enzymatic activity of the digestive process and remain intact to do its job properly in the gut. So I want to just talk for a second here about therapeutic probiotic dosing, because I talk to a lot of people who say, I take one every day. So we're talking here therapeutic. Now, a therapeutic dose, we want to maintain up to about 6 months. And you really want to do this if you've been on some maybe prescription drugs, maybe you've been on antibiotics, maybe you've come through surgery, maybe some various things. And we really want to restore that gut lining, or at least the GI tract, the microbiome. So an infant up to 12 months, you're looking at 1 to 2 billion of bacterial cells per day. Now, remember, when you turn your bottle to the side, it sounds like a lot, billion, but these are in the billions, so you're going to see how much. A toddler from 1 to 2 years is 2 to 4 billion of the bacterial cells per day. A child from 2 to 4 is 4 to 8 billion. A child from 4 to 10 years is 8 to 12. An adolescent from 12 to 16 would be 12 to 15 billion a day. Adults should have around 15 to 20 billion bacterial cells per day. Again, a therapeutic dose is an average of 6 months to overtake the harmful microbes and reestablish the beneficial. Now, again, I want to encourage raw sauerkraut eating. Kimchi is another type of sauerkraut. That's a Korean-based fermented vegetables. Those are wonderful. You can also do 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐿. You can do raw milk kefir. Be careful of doing a lot of yogurts that have had a lot of sugar and junk added to them. We really want to have the base be as least involved with sugar as possible. And I have noticed that kefirs, you're getting 58 to 72 types of probiotic in there, whereas with the yogurt, you're usually getting only 2 or 3 or 5 strains. So the big difference with kefir, I would really recommend that. Kombucha can be okay, but the store-bought kombucha and even some homemade, you want to be careful how many grams of sugar you're getting, because a lot of these are 12 to 16 grams of sugar per bottle, and that's an awful lot of sugar. If you do a June, June kombucha, that's a lot less sugar because it's made from honey. That might be a little better. So maintenance dosing. After 6 months, it's beneficial to reduce to a maintenance dose of probiotics and or consume fermented foods daily. Fermented foods can be raw sauerkraut, raw milk kefir, and possibly kombucha. A maintenance dose would be half the therapeutic amount. If you have used antibiotics, a maintenance dose should be used for at least 2 weeks minimum. The best probiotic supplement brands. In conclusion, here are a handful of good brands to investigate as you get started on your probiotic selection journey. The following are vetted for quality and appropriate strain strength. They're also recommended by a number of practitioners that I know. So the healing protocols, they would be using Trinev Trio. Pure Encapsulations is a good brand. BioCult. Now the BioCult, you want to get the advanced physicians one. There's more than one kind, and they do sell the advanced on Amazon as well. Terraflora, Prescripticist, Just Thrive, and Dr. Peter Osborne at Gluten Free Society has some great. And most of these are all gluten-free. Most of them do have SBOs, which we learned earlier is soil-based organisms. If you were a kid standing in your garden and you pulled a carrot out of the ground and you just sort of shook it off and you ate it, you're going to be getting soil-based organisms in there where that vegetable has grown. And we have known that soil-based organisms on things are, most of the time, people are bleaching and trying to get every single little bit of bacteria off their produce and their organic produce, and we're killing a lot of the things that we actually need for our gut. So I want to bring up a word here about something that I see a lot, and one of the things I'm talking about here in the first, which may lose me some followers here, but many chiropractors still highly recommend the brand called Standard Process. It was a really 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, really big supplement brand, and still a lot of chiropractors use it. And it was a really good product line, but the problem is almost all of them have soy or wheat in the filler. And I really think it's important. I think it's vital that people check what's in their supplements. And we've got to watch out for things like this. So watch out for soy, watch out for wheat. Another example is vitamin D and hormone creams. Should you be picking those up from a doctor? If they are compounded in a pharmacy, they're actually making it for you and you're getting a cream. And you don't know what everything's in there. You're just thinking it's your progesterone. So you actually need to find out what base they put it in. So please check the bases. Sometimes you have to call your doctor, who has to call the pharmacy, and sometimes the pharmacy won't give you the info. But you really need to find out if there's soy in your hormonal creams and in your vitamin D. I recently had a 69-year-old woman start to menstruate again and have migraine headaches. And we realized it was her hormonal cream and she had the soy base. Very important issue there. The final thing I want to discuss is digestive enzymes, and I do use them and I do recommend them for people. The majority of digestive enzymes are made in our bodies by our pancreas. That's without any supplementation. Pancreatic juice contains several digestive enzymes as well as bicarbonate to neutralize the acid from our stomachs. The enzymes work in the small intestine to break down the food so it can be absorbed. Basic enzymes produced by the pancreas can include, there's more than this because we have more types now in our products, but basically we've got amylases and they break down your starches and carbs. We've got lipases and those break down fats. You've got proteases and peptidases, which break down your proteins. Why are enzymes for digestion so important in avoiding illness? The role of digestive enzymes is primarily to act as a catalyst in speeding up specific life-preserving chemical reactions in your body. Essentially, enzymes help break down larger molecules into more easily absorbed particles that the body can actually use to survive and thrive. Now, many of us have leaky gut syndrome and all sorts of issues, maybe a lot of candida that are keeping us from being able to break down our foods very well. So here what we're doing with the enzymes is actually breaking down these foods into easier sizes and molecules so our bodies can assimilate them. People who can benefit from taking digestive enzyme supplements include those with inflammatory bowel disease, IBS, IBD, colitis, low stomach acid. So if you've been told that you have low stomach acid, enzymes could really help you. Enzyme insufficiency, pancreatic insufficiency, autoimmune disorders of any sorts, constipation, diarrhea, bloating. There's many reasons we would want to use enzymes. So the benefits, what can they help do? They help treat leaky gut and other conditions like celiac disease by taking stress off your GI tract. They assist your body in breaking down difficult to digest protein and sugars like gluten, casein, lactose, which is milk sugars. A lot of people have problems with milk. Enzymes can greatly improve the symptoms of acid reflux and irritable bowel syndrome. So I try to encourage people for that reason. Another one is enhancing nutrition absorption and prevent nutritional deficiencies. Finally, we counteract enzyme inhibitors naturally in foods like peanuts, wheat germ, egg whites, nuts, seeds, beans, and potatoes. I love Dr. Peter Osborne's site. If you go to Gluten Society or glutenfreesociety.org, he sells an enzyme that actually is called Gluten Shield. And if you don't like gluten and you can't handle it like me in my body, it makes me very ill. It is a wonderful enzyme that helps break it down should you ever get glutenized, maybe at a restaurant. So I want to give you some tips for buying them. If you have gallbladder issues, purchase one with more lipase and bile salts. I actually even recommend for gallbladder issues getting ox bile in it. And you'll see these when you start looking at those, when you start seeing enzymes, you'll look for those that are better for people with gallbladder issues. Where you see betaine HCl listed as a product ingredient, make sure pepsin is also. Lactase is valuable as it assists from dairy products, lactase helps you assimilate dairy. Consider a supplement that contains protease, which helps with protein digestion. If you have an autoimmune or an inflammatory condition, you really want to have the protein digestion helper. Choose a blend with herbs such as peppermint and ginger. That also supports your digestion. Most products contain some level of pancreatin, which is a combination of all three pancreatic enzymes. And for the best results, you want to take these digestive enzymes about 10 minutes before each meal or with your first bite. I swear by digestive enzymes and I love them. So that's that. So every day is a fresh start. And I just want to encourage you out there, if you've been following my videos and maybe you have a lot of health problems and maybe you've got cancer or maybe you have digestive disorders or very severe, one of the reasons I've explained to you on this set of videos here on supplements about Weston A. Price is that the promotion of nutrient-dense foods is the most, if you're worrying right now, I don't know which supplements to take, I always say the same thing to everybody. Get on a nutrient-dense diet. That would also be called an ancestral or traditional foods diet. And you really want to eat foods that our ancestors ate. And one of the biggest is organ meats. I mean, if you remember your grandparents eating liver, and I think over in England, they still eat kidney pie. I mean, it's very important. Organ meats in many ethnic cultures of the world are brought in a daily way, and this is something we're missing. Many of the tribal people, indigenous tribal people, they saved all the organ meats and the organs for the people who are the most infirm, for the pregnant people, for infants. I mean, this was a very precious, sacred food. So I really want to encourage that. I encourage bone broth from chicken, from lamb, from pig, from, all the beef bone broth I use almost in a daily way. I cook with it. I do cook with ghee, which is GHEE, which is clarified butter. I use a lot of good fat. And the number one thing you can do for your diet is to have these ancestral foods and have these really good fats, and to make sure that all the seed oils, even including your organic salad dressings, you look for those soybean oils. Get these trans fats out of your diet. Get them out of the world. Every single boxed food, everything you're buying, check out the trans fats on the side. They're in everything. And when they tell you no trans fats, that's usually a lie. If they're going to be a food in a container, most of the time they need to have these types of fats to actually keep it on the shelf for 3 years. So unfortunately, good fats and good oils will go rancid. And if something can sit on a shelf for 3, 4, 5 years, we know that there's something in it then that's keeping it from going rancid. And most of the time it's these trans fats. If you can keep condiments in your fridge for years, you've really got to start to read the ingredients on them, because they shouldn't be able to really last that long. Freshly homemade mayonnaise will go moldy within 4 days, 5 days in your fridge. So you really got to start looking at how you're eating your food. Can your food mold? Can your food go bad? If your food can't go bad, we've got some big problems here. And that could definitely be affecting your body's ability to be nutrient filled. If we are all deficient in everything, it could be the types of foods we're eating that do not have any value in them. So you guys, these are my all sets of my videos now have been done. Dress for health success, diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and then finally now supplements. And I hope that you guys can you can keep going back to these videos as often as you need them. My website is www.nethersprings.com. You can find a lot of my articles and information on my site. My website or my email is nethersprings2015@gmail.com. You can find me. You can always find me on the internet. And I look forward, you guys, to talking with you soon again. And God bless you. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.